Hey everybody, Nancy Showalter here with your magical minutes for an awesome week. Today we're going to talk about self-esteem and addiction. Now, none of us like to think that we're addicted to anything. However, we're familiar with the larger, major addictions of alcohol, drugs, nicotine, um, overeating, sex, whatever they may be. But what about the lesser or smaller addictions that maybe we don't even recognize? Addictions in our patterns of thinking and acting. Say, for instance, complaining or seeing the negative in everything and everybody. Like how do we view a beggar on the street? How do we think about that person? And so our addiction in our thinking and our acting and our words and how we treat others, these are addictions also. And usually behind every addiction, large or small, is the lack of self-esteem. So it works like this lack of self-esteem can help us get into these addictions. And then once we have the addiction, it makes us more lack of self-esteem, more feel worse about ourselves. So it's kind of a vicious circle. So how do we get out of this vicious circle? Well, obviously, some of the more serious addictions may require medical intervention, support, um, help on the professional level, whatever it may be. But all of the addictions, whether they're great or small, can be helped by our own increase of self-awareness. Now, I have a technique that I'd like to share with you today because I think you might find it very valuable, whether you have an addiction or not, because we can all do better with our self-esteem and how we see ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. Well, the first step is, first of all, to recognize if you have addiction. And the bigger addictions are easy to recognize. But what about those smaller ones I'm talking about? What about that addictive thinking or addictive acting or different ways in your life? So take a step back this week and ask yourself, am I addicted to a way of thinking or doing things, or do I have addictions, and what might they be? And then we go toward self-help of ourself, with ourself, of creating a greater sense of self-esteem. So we recognize that these two are related, that the self-esteem, once again, can cause the addiction, but also the addiction can multiply that lack of self-esteem. So the technique is, when you wake up in the morning and you're lying in bed, make yourself become fully awake, and then you start to do what I call self-talk. And that is, you call your name and you speak to yourself, like Nancy. And then you follow it with many loving, supportive statements. I love you. You are a beautiful child of the universe. I hold you in high esteem. I respect you. I love you. I hold you in my arms. You are secure. I have your back. You can talk to me about anything. Feel the love that I have for you. It's just infinite. And on and on. Whatever comes to you, whatever flows to you, that's self-talk. Because that is the higher part of yourself, the mature part of yourself, speaking to the vulnerable part of yourself that has maybe been hurt in the past, maybe needs to forgive and let go, but needs that love and nurturing from you for that part of yourself to once again feel its value, feel his or her value, feel his or her beauty and true identity. So it's important that we take this time to nurture ourselves, to love ourselves, to build that self-esteem. And I think if you try this every day this week, just as an experiment, see how it works for you. See how you feel at the end of the week. And go from there then, because then you can start to recognize if you feel a lot better. You feel an increase of your self-esteem. No matter what addiction you're trying to get over, it can only help. It can only help you in feeling better about yourself and the ability to make right decisions and the decisions that are best and most helpful for you in your life. So try it this week and see how it works for you. Have an awesome week, and I'll be back with you next week. Bye-bye.